Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and I'm here with my initial impressions of Broken Arrow. I'm going to do a full on review later on once it's been out for a little bit longer, a little more hashed out. But this is my impressions after being parts of the beta, right? I did the beta, I did the previews, and now getting my hands on the final build. It's not the final build yet, really, though. That's kind of the problem. So, where are we at as far as Broken Arrow goes? And the problem is I was hoping they would launch better than Warno did, because Warno had a lot of growing pains when it first released. It was one of the reasons I didn't get that game for a while, because the initial reviews for it were not good. It had bugs, it had optimization issues, had all this stuff going with it. And the problem is Broken Arrow kind of released in the same way, and I was hoping that they would have this fully fleshed out before they hit. And I really wanted them to lean into the single player, and part of that's just because I like the single player, components of the game versus the multiplayer, and that has multiple reasons for it. There's already a multiplayer community out there. Now, of course, they're going to want to come over and try out Warno and see what kind of stuff it's offering. It does have different units than some of the other games do. Okay, great. But really, the multiplayer just needed to be there. It just needed to be there. It just needed to be there and functioning. Sadly, from some of the reports I'm reading, evidently there's been some disconnect issues. Like I said, I haven't done multiplayer yet, so I can't comment on that, but it does appear like some people are having some stability issues as far as connecting. I think they were operating on they wanted to hit the deadline, and I've never understood why game companies will do this. They'll, well, we want to get it released by this. Nope, your time's up. You release it as best you can. And it's like, why? Because you're going to get that initial bad taste in someone's mouth versus waiting a couple of months, just cracking that shit down and then doing it when you've got less problems. And I've never understood why a company would rather race to release and release with more bugs than wait to release and release with less bugs. And part of the problem is the internet age we live in. I think too many publishers, and this has nothing to do with this game company specifically, this is all game companies do this. They have this mindset of, we can fix it later. We can put out a patch. And there was a big patch for Broken Arrow. Speaking of, big day one patch came out for it. And it's like, your mindset can't be, well, we can do what we should have done first, but we'll do it later after they've already paid for it. Because if you don't get that initial install base of customers, then your game's not going to last. And this game's going to last on its replayability with its single player and how good the multiplayer is. That's going to be the staying power, because if it only had the campaign, after you played through the campaign, you'd be done, right? So them having the modability, the ability to put out user-made scenarios, that's great. That gives replay value for single player content. Cool, great. And then all the multiplayer has to do is function well, right? And then add new units over time. So here's where we're at. I did some digging, because when I talked about this the other day, talked about the skirmish, I'm like, yeah, we've got skirmish against the AI, but we don't really. We don't really. And that's part of the problem. We do not have a fully fleshed out skirmish against the AI. All right, so I can switch my little teams here, but let's say we want Russian forces, and remember how to add these guys into it. You can lock that, right? And that's right, I gotta choose a map first. This throws me. You've got to pick your map before it will populate. So click, boom, and there, and it reopens all those up. I don't know why. And you can select from a different set of decks, right? All these different decks for the Soviets, and then obviously their decks for the Americans. The problem is is I can add AI opponents, but I can't add AI friendlies. And I'm like, really? How do you do this? How do you release like that and not have that? Right? I haven't created any decks yet, so that's why you only see default decks here. I'm like, really? No. So I don't have the ability to have AI. So I can't do a 5-on-5. I can do a 1v5, 1v2, 3, 4. I can put as many AI opponents as I want, but I cannot put AI friendlies. And this, I just don't understand why it's not included day one. Why is that not there? Because the AI is there, right? The AI opponents are there. So we're not even talking about you need to really add much to the game. All you need to do is add the ability to have the AI fight each other, right? If the AI works, it's there in game. It's going to respond to me. It's going to send out units. It's going to try to capture objectives and all this other stuff, right? All that has to be true for us to have us versus the AI. Then why can't the AI do it? It makes no sense to me. So the only way you can play skirmish mode is you by yourself. You can do a 1v1, right? Or a 1v2 if you want, 3, whatever. But you cannot have any friendly AIs. You can only have human players join your team. And this, I just don't get this. I think this is a huge misstep on their part. Why can we not have AI friendlies? It makes no sense to me why that would not be included in day one. There's also another problem with this, right? So if I were to launch this game, I'd have to close out the rest of these slots to be able to actually launch it. But let's say I launch it and the match starts. You can't pause it. You can't pause when you're playing a skirmish. And on top of that, you can't save it either. And speaking of which, let's go to our play. We'll leave this lobby. Yeah, back. Get out of here. So if I were to do the campaign missions, which I'm still, playing through the campaign, but if I go into the campaign, I can pause the campaign match, but I can't save during the match. And I'm again like, why? Why is that not included? Shit happens. People have stuff come up. They have young children, whatever the case may be. And sometimes you just, okay, I got to get up. I got to run. So now my choice is to either leave my game running until I can get back to it, which I'm not going to do if I'm going to be gone for an extended period of time, or have to redo the entire scenario. I do not have the ability to pause it during, or pause. I do have the ability to pause, rather. I do not have the ability to save it during the scenario. And that's going to be like that for all your single player stuff. Obviously, you can't pause or save multiplayer. That's fine. I get that. But you don't have these very basic functions for the single player portion of the game. And that just makes no sense to me why that would not have been released with it day one. This is just going to leave a bad taste in people's mouths. It definitely does for me. Skirmish mode, one of the things I was looking forward to doing with the skirmish is playing skirmish and having myself with some friendly AI and being able to back and forth. And if I don't finish the match, I want to be able to save it. I want to come back to it. Same with the campaign. I've been dying to play this campaign, and now I know that whenever I'm playing it, I have to make sure I've got at least a couple hours to sit down and finish that scenario, because otherwise I'm going to have to redo the whole thing. And this is stuff that's like, really? This is basic. This should have been included day one. And as far as I know, this isn't early access. This is the release. But they're planning on adding these things later. It's like, no, this can't be added later. This is stuff that needs to be here now. This needs to be your first and forefront thing. I would have liked to have seen them make mistakes in one direction or another, but they've kind of made mistakes in both directions, and it's going to cost them as far as everything goes. The game itself is good. It plays quite well. I haven't had any crashes. I haven't had anything like that. The the missions have been fun, right? I'll touch on the missions here in just a sec. But if they had stability issues with the multiplayer, or the things missing from the single player component, the quality of life things missing, that would have been one thing. But when they've got both, they're kind of hurting themselves on both sides of the fence, right? So either release with a really strong single player content, which I think they should have done, because I think that could have been Broken Arrow's claim to fame, is coming out hard with some really good single player content using gameplay like this, and then work on the multiplayer later. Or if they wanted to, come out swinging with really good multiplayer, stable gameplay, all that stuff, and then touch up the single player later. But when you've got both elements of the gameplay being serviceable at best, that's the problem. They really should have focused. Something else I'll go ahead and mention on here is when it comes to the optimization, it's just not very good. Like, I click on high and it was giving me problems. Some of these things should be set to ultra. Let's see if I can find them. All right, so like you see here, I've got it set to ultra, but it was still showing high, and then this goes to custom again. And I'm like, well, what is going on here? There's something off with the presets on this, and it only gives me presets of potato, low, medium, high, even though they've got ultra options. So why didn't you have the ultra as a preset, so I could just set everything as high as possible? And I have to go through and click all this stuff to make sure I'm on the highest portion I can be. And some of it's working. Sometimes I'm clicking on this and it did change. Some of it didn't change. Let's see. Did this have ultra? Yeah, see, shadow. But see, it still shows high. I'm clicking on ultra and then now it flicks over. There's some optimization issues here where I don't know whether or not I'm getting the best I can possibly get out of this or not. And I'm having to go through and check everything. Like, okay, here we go. And I like, look at that. There's ultra down there, but I can't barely click on it. There we go. Finally got that. I didn't even know that went to ultra. Flick that back all the way up. Because I've got a pretty beastly PC. I do video editing, so I have to have a computer that's pretty powerful. But how do you have the presets, but you have ultra settings, but you don't have ultra as a preset? So now I have to have it as custom, and I'm not sure that I'm getting every single one of these. Some of them I'm clicking on, it's not going through. Make sure I have apply all of that. So there is some optimization issues here. So far, it hadn't seemed to affect the gameplay, except for I've noticed pop-in, this black shadowy look to it. So as the camera is panning around, sometimes you see some of the terrain, the buildings or the trees or whatnot, and it'll look black, like blacked out for a second, and then it colors. That's all optimization. They're not awful as far as optimization, but it definitely needs some work. It's not so bad as to make the game unplayable. At least I've not had any issues like that. Like I said, no crashes, nothing like that. Just some graphical issues, some noticeable things like, the pop in, the shadows not looking quite right. Not sure that I'm getting the best settings on my PC, and that could be an issue for someone else who doesn't have quite as powerful of a PC, that they're not sure exactly what settings are popping up because it's not showing the right thing. That's a little bit more of a minor issue. It's not the end all be all, but it's enough to be a pain in the butt. So where does that leave us as far as Broken Arrow is concerned? I just realized I accidentally called it Warno. If I do that, if I've ever said Warno during this little review process here, forgive me. I mean Broken Arrow. I keep mixing those two up in my head. Where does that leave us as far as Broken Arrow is concerned? Broken Arrow is good. The gameplay is fun. It's bringing some good stuff to it. They have got to add the ability to save. They've got to add a pause in there, right, for single player content. If I'm playing offline, I just need to be able to play offline, period, right? Any single player content, and I need to be able to add friendly AI, and I need to be able to pause it, and I need to be able to save it. This is stuff that should have been there. That's just a big misstep. I think they should have focused harder on the single player content and had that hitting hard out of the gate. Because again, I think that was going to be Broken Arrow's claim to fame, hitting really hard a good single player storyline. And while I'm touching on that, there's one thing that I've noticed, and I noticed this during the beta, and I didn't say anything about it because I wanted to see a little bit more of the campaign before I commented on it, is I think they're going for these big, showy moments, but it's taking some of the agency away from the player. And what I mean by that is, for example, the first mission you're on, you can go check the video I've already got posted. You'll see at the end of it, basically I'm guarding these crossroads, right? You know, keeping the Soviets back as they're pushing up, or the Russians back, right, as they're pushing up. And there at the end, they start to overrun me, which happened a lot in the beta. They had similar issues, which is fine. You're getting swarmed, but then right there at the end, as I'm getting ready to be taken out completely, I get a bunch of AC-130 gunships that come in and they just lay waste. But that it's the computer, it's the campaign itself, basically playing itself like, oh, you were going to be taken out, you were going to lose, except we're going to give you these 4 AC-130s because that's the only way you can win. And I haven't got all the way through the campaign. I've played some of the missions, right? But I noticed this happened in the beta with some of these missions, is that you would work, you're poking, you're jabbing, you're pushing throughout the mission, and then you get to the end of it, and all of a sudden you get hit with these waves, and you're just getting raffle stomped, and suddenly something comes in and saves your behind, right? A big airstrike, or a bunch of helicopters come flying in, or AC-130s are coming in. And I really hope the campaign doesn't go in that direction, because I think that takes away from the player agency. I want to win or lose based on my own choices, my own battle plan. I don't want to get to the very end of the mission and it's going to be a loss guaranteed, because there's no way I can beat the sheer number of units they're sending at me with what I have available, except, oh, look, magically we've got all these AC-130s that come in, blah, 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 blah. And that's going to decide the match. Not everything you've done up until now. You're not going to decide the match. That's going to decide the match. Come on, AC-130, get them. Rain down hate on these guys. Rain down hate. Save my men. Oh, look at the rat. It's everywhere. Look at that. Look at them AC-130s. Boom, 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 boom. Bitches. Die. It's indirect all over their ass. Yeah, I'm doing everything I can to hold them back. I haven't played all the way through the campaign, so I can't say whether or not the other missions are like that, but I noticed that was kind of a trend during the beta when I was playing some of the preview missions. And then with the very first mission that you're playing in the game, it's doing the same thing. That's making me think, are they leaning on that too much, that big dramatic moment? There doesn't need to be one of those in every single mission. I want to win or lose based on my own merit. And I'm pretty sure most people agree with me. So ultimately, is Broken Arrow worth getting? Yeah, it's worth getting. I definitely like the game. And I know plenty of people are going to be right there with me liking the game, but sadly it launched rough. It launched rough. I was hoping it wasn't going to launch rough. I was crossing my fingers that it wasn't going to launch rough, but it did. And I think that's going to hurt it. So we're going to have a slow burn with Broken Arrow. To be fair though, Warno had a slow burn. It launched rough. It had issues. It had optimization problems. It had similar issues. And it's doing very well now. People are still just all about that game. I'm sure we're going to get there. We're just not there yet. there is some quality of life issues. There's some optimization issues that need to be rectified before Broken Arrow is going to be where it should be. And I hate saying that, but I got to be honest. I think this game is going to be great, but it's not great yet. It's good. It's good right now, but it has greatness in its bone structure. It really needs some polishing before it's going to be there. They should have waited. They should have at least had either the single player stuff fixed or the multiplayer stuff fixed. And honestly, they probably should have gone with the multiplayer, now that I think about it, and made sure that they had strong connections. You do not want people giving up on your multiplayer quickly, right? You need those people who are sticking around and playing the game over and over and over and loving the multiplayer matches for it to really have that good staying power. So them not doing that, having both, I hate saying that. I hate saying it because I really love the game. I was so excited for it. It's good. It's going to be great. I have faith in them. But it's going to be a little bit of time. You're not going to hurt yourself if you wait to get this one. And I hate saying that, but it is what it is. There are some issues that need to be ironed out first. And I'm hoping they will have these ironed out within the next month or so. I will update this with a final review here in a month or so and see where Broken Arrow stands then. All right, that's going to be it for me. You guys take care. I'll catch you in the next one.